Your eardrum can grow back after it has blown up. I had no idea that for my entire life until my eardrum did actually blow up and I decided to consult Google instead of consulting a doctor on whether I would get my hearing back at all. And yeah, Google said your eardrum can grow back. I wasn't sure if I believed it. I mean, there's multiple things that can grow back. Like, obviously, if you get mauled by a tiger, if you somehow survive, your skin can heal. If you fall off a scooter, fall from a plane and survive, if you get cuts on your skin, it can heal. If you get a scratch on your eyeball, it's GG. That scratch is there forever. And I assumed that would be the same thing with if your eardrum blew up or if your eardrum got damaged. It was one of those things that's like, well, it's GG. You know what I mean? But to my surprise and thankfully for me, that is not the case. Your eardrum does actually grow back if it is blown up. So I'm going to be honest, I ran out of content, don't really have anything to post right now, so I was thinking of a story that I should tell y'all about, and I thought of this story that happened to me about a year or 2 years ago. I don't exactly remember the timeline. It was somewhere around that, a year or 2 years ago, in which my eardrum actually just completely blew up, and I felt it blow up. I was sitting there, and I heard like a big pop in my ear, and it just started bleeding and I couldn't hear out of it anymore. It was a pretty crazy experience, honestly. So how did this happen? You may be wondering with your tinfoil hat on. How did my eardrum completely blow up? And the story is pretty simple, and it's probably pretty easy to avoid too. I would imagine it is, at least, because I'm now 24 years old. Only having my eardrum pop once in my entire life is pretty crazy. Actually, having your eardrum pop at all in your life, I feel like is pretty rare. So don't worry about this. I doubt this would happen to most of y'all, but it's a really easy thing to avoid. So basically, ever since a couple years ago, I've had a problem with earwax. If I don't clean my ear out like every month, which I think is the doctor recommended thing to do, although I don't know how many people actually do that. I don't think I've met anybody who actually sits there and cleans their ear out once a month. You just do it whenever your ear feels kind of clogged. At least that's what I do, right? And so in my doing so of that and just cleaning my ear out whenever it feels clogged, it gets pretty clogged, and I'll just wake up one day and I won't be able to hear it all out of that ear. I'll have to go to like a CVS pharmacy doctor and have them squirt the little hot water in my ear to get all the earwax out. And so I hated doing that because basically the stuff that they used at the doctor was just stuff you could buy from the store. All it is it's a little like squirt gun basically that you put in your ear. You put warm water in there. It gets everything out. You could do it yourself at home. So that's what I did. I bought all the gear and I was doing it for myself for a while. But one day I woke up and I couldn't hear it all. And it was actually kind of painful. My ear was hurting a little bit. I was like messing around with my ear, it was like hurting a little bit. I was like, damn, I really want this to stop. And I was looking everywhere around my apartment at the time, and I couldn't find the little squirt gun anywhere. I was looking through the cabinets. I was looking through literally every single thing we had in that apartment, all the cabinets, all the containers, everything. I just couldn't find the little squirt gun anywhere. And so I did what any logical person would do in a situation like that. I used my girlfriend's hair care spray that she puts on her hair. I used that to spray inside of my ear and try to get the earwax out. And that was my mistake. Honestly, I didn't think it was anything hair care related at the time. I wasn't sitting there like, oh, okay, I'll use my girlfriend's hair care spray. I definitely wasn't thinking that at all. It looked literally just like something that you put in your ear to get stuff out. There's multiple of these things. If you don't know, there's like some tiny little suction cup thing. It looked a lot like that. And then there's the big squirt gun, which is the thing I was originally looking for. So when I looked at my girlfriend's hair care thing, I thought, okay, this is option number 2. This is the little suction cup thing that I'll put in my ear, and then I'll be good to go. It is what it is. If not, then I'll just go to a CVS and have the professionals do it. And so I sprayed that thing in my ear. Nothing happened. And then that night, while I think I was laying down in bed, my eardrum completely blows up. I hear it go pop, and then a bunch of blood started rushing down my ear onto my face. And let me tell you, that was probably the worst pain I have ever felt in my entire life, because the next day we went to the doctor and we basically wanted to confirm that my eardrum popped. I was pretty sure it did because I heard a loud pop and then my ear started bleeding, and I looked up what that could be on Google. And Google does typically tell you that any symptom you have, you're gonna die, but Google was telling me something that I did believe this time. It wasn't telling me that I was gonna die which is really rare. I feel like anytime you ever look up a symptom on Google, it tells you the worst possible thing is going to happen. But no, Google did tell me that my eardrum blew up, and that's what I believed. And then when we went to the doctor the next day, he was like, yeah, your eardrum's blown up. You're going to have to go to an ENT to, get that looked at, because we don't do that here at the regular doctor. So I scheduled an appointment for the ENT, and about 2 days later was the next available appointment, thankfully. Sometimes I've gone to doctors and they'd be like, okay, we can get you in 2 weeks. So thankfully, ENT, 2 days. And let me tell you, those 2 days were the worst 2 days ever, because I would lay down and, well, actually, you couldn't lay down because the doctor basically told me that I had to lay up a little bit. I had to be up, and I couldn't sleep with that ear facing away from the bed. The ear that blew up, I had to sleep with it facing the bed. So I guess blood doesn't get further down my ear, because I don't have the eardrum now. There's no wall, separating the inside of my head, I guess, and the outer ear. And so I went to the ENT, and he basically told me the exact same thing, that this thing will just heal on its own and there's really nothing that they can do to help. He did, however, put a little suction cup thing down my ear, and he sucked up all the dried blood in my ear. This is so disgusting. But yeah, that's basically what he did. He sucked up all that stuff in my ear. And for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think it was about a month. Maybe it was 3 weeks, something like that. It was about a month. That's how long it took for my eardrum to grow back. And then we did a hearing test, and they were like, yep, you can hear. They did a whole bunch of tests on me to make sure that I could hear properly. It was actually insane. It was the worst pain I've ever felt, because my ear was hurting the entire 3 weeks. I could hardly sleep for those whole 3 weeks because my ear was just in this incredible amount of pain. I had to sleep up, which was super uncomfortable. I had to sleep with my ear facing the bottom of the bed, and I had to sleep with basically a napkin on the bottom side of that ear the whole time, so if anything got out, it wouldn't get on the bed. I also couldn't shower. I couldn't get that part of the ear wet, so it was very difficult taking a shower and trying to get my hair. I think basically they gave me some gauze to wrap around my ear, but even then I wasn't being all loosey-goosey in the shower. I was really nervous about getting any water in this ear, because they told me I cannot get any water in that ear because there's no wall. And even after that debacle with my eardrum completely blowing up, I was nervous to get in water for quite some time, because the idea that basically what the doctor said happened is when I squirted that water in my ear, somehow it got under my eardrum, which I never thought that was a possibility, and I have no idea how the hell that even happens, because when you go swimming, your entire head is underwater. So how the hell, if your entire head is underwater, how does water not go under your eardrum then? It's something that I don't really understand, honestly. But I was terrified to even go swimming for a couple months after that, because I was afraid water would get under my eardrum, even though it never happened before, and it's probably a completely irrational fear. I was just scared to get water under my eardrum and have to live through that horrible pain again. And what made it even worse is one of my friends that some of y'all may know as Palpers, one of my friends told me that he actually knew a guy that his eardrum blew up the exact same way that mine did, and his friend's eardrum actually never healed, and so he had to get a hearing aid. And so he told me that while my eardrum was only blown up for 4 days, I was sitting 4 days not being able to hear out of my right ear. I could only hear out of my left ear, and he was basically telling me that he had a friend that's ear blew up the exact same way, and his friend can't hear anymore, so good luck. And that sent a chill down my spine. I was terrified. I thought I would have to wear a hearing aid for the rest of my life. I thought my hearing was completely gone. But thankfully that didn't happen. Thankfully my hearing is fine. It recovered. And honestly, I would not wish that on my worst enemy, because that is the worst pain I have ever felt. I was finishing up college during that time too, and it was just super, I was super self-conscious going in the room with all my classmates, and I had basically this cotton ball in my ear. It probably looked really goofy. People probably didn't understand it, because I imagine your eardrum blowing up isn't a really common thing that most people know. So I probably just looked really weird with a cotton ball hanging out of my ear during class. People were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But yeah, that's the story time for today. The time my eardrum completely blew up, and I thought I was not going to be able to hear for the rest of my life. I thought I was going to be deaf. It was at least deaf out of my right ear. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day, night, evening, and I hope this never happens to y'all, because yeah, it sucked. It sucked. But yeah. All right, I'll see y'all later.